The chair of torture. It looked like a chair, but it was no place to rest. This was the chair of torture, a seat built only to turn the human body into a screaming wreck. Made of iron or heavy wood, the surface was covered with hundreds of sharp spikes on the seat, on the backrest, even on the armrests. Once a victim was stripped naked and tied down, there was no way to move without being pierced. The moment they sat, pain exploded. Spikes dug deep into flesh. Blood ran down the frame, but this was only the beginning. Torturers heated the chair from below. Fire or hot coals placed underneath turned the iron red hot. The victim's skin began to burn. Spikes seared into muscle. The body writhed, but the more they struggled, the deeper the spikes tore. Some chairs had restraints with even sharper tips, driven into sensitive areas: groin, chest, feet. Every scream echoed through the dungeon, a sound designed to terrify all who heard it. Death was rarely fast. Victims often lingered for hours, sometimes days, bleeding, burning, begging for mercy that never came. The chair of torture was not just a killing machine. It was a throne of endless suffering, built to make a person's final moments feel like eternity, trapped inside their own burning, shredded skin. The saw. In the dark corners of medieval Europe, one of the cruelest punishments was waiting. A simple carpenter's tool turned into a weapon of horror. The saw. This was not quick. This was not clean. It was a show. A public display meant to freeze the crowd with terror. The victim was hung upside down, ankles tied, head dangling toward the ground. Why upside down? Because the blood rushed to the brain, keeping the victim awake, alive, conscious for as long as possible. Then came the saw. Two men held it. They pressed the sharp teeth against the exposed flesh between the victim's legs, and slowly, very slowly, dragged the blade back and forth. The first cuts were shallow, skin splitting, warm blood spilling. The crowd watched every scream, every twitch. As the saw dug deeper, bones cracked, organs spilled. The body was carved open like wood. The torturers were careful. They kept the pace steady. They wanted the victim to feel every second. The blood rushing to the brain kept them alive longer, sometimes until the saw reached the chest. There was no mercy, no escape. The saw turned a living person into two halves while their mind stayed trapped in the nightmare of their own body being cut apart. This was not just death. This was butchery disguised as punishment. Judas Cradle. Picture a cold, silent dungeon. No chains rattling, no screams yet. In the center stands a strange object. A tall wooden pyramid with a sharp, polished tip. This was the Judas Cradle. Invented in medieval Italy, it became a favorite tool of the Inquisition. It was meant for blasphemers, witches, and anyone accused of sins against the church. But in truth, it was used on whoever the rulers wanted broken. The victim was stripped naked, tied with ropes, and slowly, very slowly, lowered down onto the sharp tip. The point pressed into the most sensitive part of the body. The torturer made sure no organ was safe. Gravity did the rest. The victim's full weight sank down. Flesh split open. Muscles tore. The agony was beyond words. Every movement, every breath, only made the wound deeper. The torment could last hours, even days. The torturers sometimes added weights to the ankles, forcing the body to sink faster. Infection set in. Blood loss drained strength. Some died screaming. Others passed out, only to wake up in fresh waves of pain. The Judas Cradle wasn't just a method of torture. It was humiliation turned into art. A machine built to make death slow, filthy, and unforgettable. Victims didn't just die on it. They were dismantled, piece by piece, until nothing human remained. The rack. Stretching the human body. It was the 13th century. Medieval Europe. A dark chamber. At the center stood a wooden frame, simple in design, but built for pure agony. This was the rack. Prisoners feared it more than death. Kings and inquisitors used it to break rebels, heretics, and traitors. Anyone accused of betraying the crown or defying the church could be tied here. The victim was strapped down, ankles at one end, wrists at the other. Heavy ropes pulled tight. A torturer turned a wheel. Slowly, deliberately. With every turn, the ropes tightened. First came the tension, muscles screaming, joints shifting. Then the real horror. The shoulders cracked, knees popped. Bones tore from their sockets. Limbs stretched beyond nature's limit. The prisoner begged, cried. But the wheel never stopped. The rack had no mercy. Skin tore. Veins snapped. Sometimes the body grew inches longer. Sometimes the spine split apart. This wasn't quick. The torturer often paused, letting the victim suffer in silence before turning the wheel again. The sound of bones breaking filled the chamber. A sound meant to terrify anyone who listened. Few survived the rack. Even those released were left crippled, twisted, or unable to walk again. The machine wasn't just made to kill. It was made to destroy a human soul, piece by piece.